This is a 20-minute talk. I'm going to take 15, hopefully. This is it's a sponsored talk. I could talk a lot about our product. I will not be talking too much about our product. I want to talk about the ecosystem in which it exists, especially with regard to developers. Most people here are. If you want to hear more about what we do, we have a sponsor table over there. We've been showing off what Flux does, who it's for. This talk is all about getting up to speed quickly with new code bases. Before I get into that, I want to give thanks to Microsoft, the other sponsors, for sponsoring this, and thanks to the other speakers. There's been a lot of great talks. I've not heard all of them because I've been out there, but it looks pretty awesome. So this talk is all about getting up to speed quickly in a code base if you are new. And so we have built, I will say briefly, Flux is built for engineering leadership, engineering management, principal engineers, people who need to see what's happening across a lot of teams, a lot of code base, a very large code base. But today I'm going to be talking about different personas. This is a little bit about me. I love video games. I grew up in an era, you may be able to guess, based on this. The 60-bit era was wonderful. I'm older than that, but I love this era in particular. So there'll be some video game references throughout this talk. The personas that could fit the bill for needing to get up to speed quickly with a new code base include an open source software contributor. You have there's a package you really like, and you're like, oh, I found a time this weekend I can work on this. But the first thing you need to do is understand what the heck is going on there. What is happening in this code base? Could be your new hire, right? You want to get up to speed quickly. You could be switching teams. This happens especially in a large organization. You are experienced, you know a code base well, you're switching to a different team, doing something very different. You want to have an impact right away. It could be that you are just someone who fixes bugs and you are jumping around to all different parts of the code base, need to understand it quickly. Or, related to the new hire, you're an ambitious junior dev. You're someone who really wants to have an impact right away. Your managers come to you and it's like, hey, what do you want to own? You're like, I don't know where to start. And so these are all the people that might have to be in this seat. But we all, at various points of our lives, we get started fresh, especially with fresh code. It's a fun and exciting thing. But why does this matter? Why does it matter for any of these people that getting up to speed quickly is important? There are a couple different things. Mini skill tree here. It may be, just a confidence boost. You get to speed quickly. You're not sitting there swimming and going, wow, where do I even begin? I don't really get this. This is weird. You can have an impact really quickly on your team. Look, selfishly, it helps your career. You get going faster. It can help to build your reputation either within the company. Avoid wasted effort. You don't go and fix something that's already being fixed, or maybe you try something that's been tried before and didn't work out well. All this is tied, if you're on a team, to team velocity. If you're part of an open source community, it's part of the velocity of everybody working together on that open source code base. So this is why getting up to speed quickly matters for each of those personas. But we have to know how to get there. Not the old man in the cave eating the sword, but akin to that, there are a bunch of tools that you can use to get yourself up to speed. Yes, Flux is one of them, but I'm going to talk about some other approaches that you can use. The first, the classics. Does anyone know this game? It's really small, so. This is. Yes! Thank you. Promise Not a Planet, I know we talked before, but I did not tell you this. Dragon Warrior is one of the first Japanese RPGs that came out in the States, and it is you explore. Basically, there are very few directions, you just explore. You were left to your own devices to figure out what was going on in this game. Similarly, this happens when we deal with code. You have to, you read the code. You restart with the README. You start with the README and figure out what's going on, if the README's been updated recently. These are very classic approaches. You might pick a point, you look at tests, for example, and follow this through. What is this calling? Which API endpoints is it hitting? Which functions? To understand what a particular flow through the product might be, which is great. You might learn from archaeology. This is a much more obscure one. This is Tombs and Treasures, old Nintendo game. In this case, you might look at what's happening in this repo. And again, I'm talking about a repo here. Now imagine a scale many repos. But in one, you might go, okay, well, what's been changed? Like, where are people working? Are they doing basic upgrades? Is it just dependent on doing its thing? Or are people, building new features? Are they, trying to rework something? What is actually happening here? So you can look at those PRs, you can look at their discussions. You can look at Git history. You can look at Git blame. If you've been around long enough, you look at yourself, you find yourself in the blame. If you're part of an organization that has postmortems, you can look at those. There's a lot of good sort of written down resources that come through being part of an engineering team, and those are all good. But that's still, like the above, like the exploration, that's manual detective work. You are doing the work to figure out what's going on. And it's all historical, and you're going through a lot of comments. So now we're in a new era. You've seen a lot of talks that talk about AI. AI can help here. This is really cool. I was talking to someone out at the table, and I was saying how AI is great if you want, not just to, you can write code, sure. But if you want to learn something new, if you're learning a new framework, you can, I found it really helpful. I did this thing recently where I was messing around with Rust, and I was like, there's a certain something happening in Rust where I'm like, I remember this in C, is it the same as that? And I'm sure there's a blog post about it, or if I read I read the Rust tutorials, I get there, but I was able to actually say, well, show me how this is different. Show me what is different. How might I use this in this scenario? And it helped me. It was great. It was wonderful. You can do the same thing with a code base. So, how many people here have used Claude Code? Okay, awesome. Codex. Okay, excellent. You. What's that? Yeah, go. Yeah. Yes, thank you. All these tools are great, and they can look at your code base, but they're also looking at a limited set, or like they have a limited context window. So they can only look at so much at a time. Early Copilot can look at a file, look at a few files. Now with agents, you can do more. You can actually have them go across multiple files. You can look across your whole code base. But if any of you have used this, and this is one where I actually was doing this with an open source code base in Claude Code, and Ted, you get the bill later. It is expensive. It takes a lot of tokens. It's really like going through this process. It agents that will go. They'll go through the whole code base and they'll find the things. It's not bad. It's actually an okay way. I'm not super familiar with this code base, so I don't know how accurate it was. It was pretty good at showing me where I might start. It might help contribute. But it's also really expensive, and I do it. And if any of you go do it, you're going to do the same thing, and it's also going to be done again. And we're just be ringing up those tokens. All that said, these are powerful tools. They can be used well, but oftentimes they're helping you if you're already in there. We're remiss if I didn't mention human intelligence. I mean, this still works. I know we're all talking to Claude and ChatGPT, but you can talk to other people on your team. This is a very common thing. You come in, you go, you find a senior person, and you talk to them. The problem with this, of course, is you have to know who to talk to, and in many cases, if they're really senior, you feel like you don't want to waste their time, right? They're busy, they don't really want to talk to you, and they certainly don't want to endlessly answer your questions. But there's still value in this. Getting up to speed quickly, talking to someone who knows their way around is useful. That's a helpful thing to do. So, now it's time to talk about what we do. This is not Flux, but we're heading that direction. If you talk to people who are more experienced, more senior, one of the things you look for is you look for signals. You look for signals in the data. And so, in this case, you may be looking at, well, test coverage is a really classic one. How much, do we have enough coverage? If we don't, it's an area I can help out do some more. Are there bug clusters? Are there areas of the code that are particularly prone, particularly buggy? There are tools that provide that. Where are people doing work right now? Where is the active development happening? Because I may be able to chip in and contribute there with even just some small fixes. These are all things that, there are tools for each of these. They tend to be pretty scattered. Some companies do it their own way. They do it on their own. They use a spreadsheet. But you don't usually have one place to have all this together. So now I will put the very brief plug-in for Flux, what we're building. Again, we're building Flux for engineering leaders, engineering management. But I'm showing a view who have gone from the high, which I'll show in a second, down into a particular repo. It's one of ours. We're dog fooding now. And I'm looking at the PRs. And what this is this is pull requests that have been filtered down, and then we are there's all the data that we can pull from it. So I can see, based on the pull requests that are coming in, what is it actually doing? And we're not looking at the text that the developer writes, we're looking at the code when we're using AI to say, what is this doing? We're then comparing it to what the developer said to get an accuracy score. We're looking at to say, should a security person look at this? We elsewhere do security scanning, but this is simply, is there something in there that a security reviewer should be called in to look at? And then finally, and this is one I'll show in a second, the last one's a categorization. We can say, is this feature work? Both these are feature work. Is it a rework? Is it hot fix? Is it a bug fix? Not because the JIRA ticket said it, but because we looked at the change in the code and we had categorized it that way. But finally, this last one, this got me really excited. It'll be good for new people getting up to speed. If you want to know what's happening in the last 2 weeks, I selfishly wanted this because, you know, I like to go on vacation every now and then. I came back from vacation after a week and I was like, what happened? I can talk to people on my team, but with this, I can very quickly know at a high level what people did. And this happened 2 months ago. I came back and I was like, hey, where's the feature work? And the team dealt with a fire drill. We had a pinned dependency that went away. We pinned it, we did the right thing, but it went away. And so the team had to scramble. And so I was able to see, oh, okay, I know what happened. And I went and talked to people afterwards. Good for me as a leader, but for an individual developer, something like this.
So this happens automatically, seamlessly in the background. It's like runs every hour or so on
Yes,
the
that's
GitHub
right.
repo.
Yes, yes, we're running it. We're not quite to sort of streaming real time, and PRs tend to. Anyone a bug fix for HDMI? Anyone? Yeah, that's a good question. It is happening in the streaming way.
I actually see that
yeah.
very valuable for project managers and product owners and such. Not just like, hey, I went on vacation, what happened?
Yeah.
But more of a summary like, hey, what did you guys do for the sprint? And to have it like.
Actually, you know, this would be also very useful for people who are, as you said, product owners, right? Are the developers giving me bullshit?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I like that. There's two angles to this. It is the kind of data that can be used by multiple stakeholders, so not the ones I showed at the beginning, but other ones. Yes, product owners. It's also from an engineering leadership standpoint, or just engineers in general, good hygiene. If a PR is too big, this isn't captured here, but if PRs are too big, that's generally bad. We all agree that like huge PRs are not great. Coding with AI, we tend to create bigger PRs. That's not good. Excuse me. Also, PRs doing multiple things. A PR should do one thing, like a good function. It shouldn't change things and return, it should do one thing, and PRs are the same way. If a PR has a bug fix and a refactor, no, he's not gonna feature, this happens. We wanna be able to catch that. And so that is something that engineering leadership wanna know, but you're right, and we'll go to the next one here. This, if you come over to a table, you've probably seen this. This is that same categorization over time. So what did the team actually do? This is daily, but we can do weeks, you do quarters. What is happening? Where are they spending their time? So this one here, right here, huge bug fix spike. This is because, what is this problem? Come back and you're like, oh, what happened? Oh, that's why. And so, you mentioned product owner, that's a good example. This is not here, we're working on a feature annotation, so that if I know this, I can come in and go, hey, that day, that thing's happened. We had a bunch of bug fixes, this is why. So that when you come in as a product owner and you go, what happened that week? Why is nothing getting done? Oh, I see. Yep, totally makes sense. It's not that we don't talk, we will talk as, but if you know that, we don't have to repeat ourselves over and over again or have someone run off and go, I can't believe it, an engineering doesn't know what they're doing. This is one of the reasons we built Flux. But as you saw, because we're starting at the code, we're starting at the lowest layer, building up, it allows us to do really cool things with summaries, as you saw before.
So what languages are you supporting?
Great question. Almost anything with the PR analysis, because we're using LLMs for that. And LLMs, I'm sure there's an obscure language that we don't know. But using LLMs as one of the first passes, good. Something we do static analysis, not capturing here, but we do issues as well. So we'll look for code quality issues and security issues. That is more limited in terms of the languages that it supports. We support a lot of languages, but different tools, the open source tools we rely on, support different languages.
So is it capable of checking your test cases against the PR?
Yeah, okay, good question, no. We did some experimentation with that to look at test coverage in particular, like how good are these tests. And the problem with tests is you have to run them. You know, ultimately, really good test data, you have to run the tests, and that works really fine for an interpreted language. Well, sorry, it does not work. For small cases, interpreted languages, you can do some of it, but we found, you know, we're trying to build Java, and we're like, this is not, you know, there's too many other dependencies needed, and so at that point, our approach there, and we're not doing it yet, our approach would be, if you're doing that, great, that's another piece of data that we can pull in and show in the dashboard, we can show that that's happening, but we're not gonna do that ourselves, there are better tools out there to do it.
So how are you getting around the context issue of just large code bases? Are you converting over pieces and then summarizing the summarization?
That's right, yeah, spot on, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, we're building ourselves, so if you go,
Back a slide here.
these here, actually now in the product, this is a little bit older, we have a heat map too, so you can see where the PRs are actually, like, where the activity is happening. But each of these are summarized. If you were fresh and you came in,
Actually, just really show this real quickly. How are we doing on time? Another minute. I'm gonna.
It's 12:50.
And then if I threw this on my repo,
Sure.
how long would it take before I can get some sort of insight on it?
Yeah, so we can get, depending on the size of the repo, some of the static analysis will take potentially a couple hours to go through, but we start, like the PR stuff will start coming right away, so we can start backfilling as well. So I'll pull this over and just show you what I mean by this. So here, can you see this? Yeah.
this is a summary that we're doing. So this is at the repo level on our code bases. It describes what it does. If you click through on any of these file folders and you go to the files below it, you're going to see a description, and that's useful for, if you're fresh to it, you understand what is actually happening, what's happening in this repo, what's happening
in the pieces within. But then we use that as well.
We use that data to, as you said, build up that context, and then we can also use it for context engineering to make sure we're throwing the right things in. You see it now with the heat maps in place, and I can see where in my code things are happening. Did I, as a security engineer, look at that? I need to do that. Okay.
All
Are
right.
you guys employing a knowledge graph at all?
A very, very lightweight one. That's actually the area where we're going next, because you see there's an architecture tab here.
Yeah.
That is something that right now, a lot of this is very software bill of materials focused. There's other pieces as well, but if you go, there you go. You can see a lot. We do analysis of that. But there's underpinnings there.
Yeah,
but
I can see all the connections, you're gonna need something like that.
Exactly. Well, one of the things that this is doing, this is all very repo by repo. Up a level, we want the knowledge graph to be across repos.
Yeah.
We're seeing a weird trend where not going to be lately to use some of the agentic LLMs there. Several people who are refactoring their code bases to go back to a mono repo so that everything can be in one place, which feels like, I feel like the LLMs will solve this, we will solve this problem soon. They were going that way, but some of that knowledge graph needs to also exist across repos as well. And so right now we've been very file directory repo specific, and now we're at the level of stitching things together across repos. All right, I am at time, so I'm going to wrap up. If you have more questions, these are awesome questions. Thank you all. We'll be at the table. We can talk. I want to end. Please do come by our table. You know me as well. Aaron at Flux.ai. Talk to me, Ted, founder. We'd love to talk to you about this. This is stuff we love engineering. So this is us. We're building this stuff to help teams work better, understand their code, and get more insight into what they're doing.
So what's the cost of the product? How would we get started if we wanted to do this?
Great question. Pricing model, you should come over and talk to Ted at the table afterwards. We can talk deep dive with that. We're looking for users. So yeah, definitely want to talk about that.
So what are your current customers using? How big are the teams? How big are their code bases?
Yeah, we have a variety. So I think the smallest one probably has about a 20-person team or so, but they have a legacy code base. So you can imagine this would work really well with a legacy code base, because you have things that haven't been touched in a while and suddenly they're causing problems. You want to know. And then we have a couple hundreds of repos in the other case, and across 8 to 10 teams. There's a few other folks who are working as design partners at bigger orgs than that. Yes, pricing we'll talk over there. Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you taking some time out of your lunch to come here.